Hey, seniors, how you doing? Today is Thursday, December the 1st. First day of December, you know what that means. We are getting very close to the end of the semester, right? Like we are in the home stretch now. After today, you have 6 class days left before finals week. You only have 2.5 weeks left in the semester as a whole. I know this is a really busy time, really busy. Every class is trying to jam everything in. Maybe you're behind in some stuff. You're trying to get caught up on that. I know everything's going on, but you really need to stay focused because you don't want to get behind, right? Like you don't want to get behind. You don't want to take zeros in RDS that you don't need to take, right? So it's very important that you stay focused and you stay with us. Today, our big essential question is, can I analyze the story? With the story we're going to look at, can you look at it? Can you look at the characters? Can you look at the satire? Can you look at the action? And then get that theme out of it. What is the lesson to be learned? We're specifically looking at that theme development and character development because, again, they go hand in hand, right? And we can look at, before we look at the assignment, let's look at the movie quote of the day. This comes from the movie Big. This is a young Tom Hanks who has, as an adult, gets put into a kid's body. He's still an adult, but he's in a kid's body. And I'm sorry, it's reverse. He's a kid, but he's made big. He's put into an adult body. I had that backwards. He's a kid, but now he's an adult. He's working the whole adult world. And the quote is, "You mean sleepover? Okay, but I get to be on top." And obviously, you know, as a kid, he doesn't understand what is being said by spending the night somewhere. Let's take a look at the assignment, what's going on. So if you go into today's assignment, practice 12.1, theme development, the Miller's Tale. And this is a lot like the Knight's Tale. So we looked at the character, we looked at the general prologue. Now let's look at some of the characters, the individual stories. We already looked at the Knight's Tale. This will look very similar to that. So in the story, the knight tells his story, and the host, who's leading everything, says, "That was an awesome story. Hey, Monk, why don't you tell yours?" But the miller butts in. Now the miller, he buys grain, he mills it, sells it as flour. Either people pay him to grind it down for them, or he buys it from these people and then resells the finished product. And he's probably not the most ethical business people. And he kind of badgers the host into letting him tell his story next. The host finally like, whatever, just tell the story. So the miller says, "Okay, let me tell my story. Oh, by the way, I'm really drunk, so you can't hold me responsible for anything I say," right? And then he goes on to tell this really bawdy story about a woman, her unsuspecting husband that she's having an affair on, and her young lover. Now, by today's standards, I don't think that you're going to find it really risque. It's not risque at all by today's standards. In 1400 Chaucer, yes, this would have been very risque, both content and the way it was told, and the message, right? But I don't think it's going to, in your sentiments today, be anything unusual. Now, the interesting thing, I do think you're going to enjoy the story. It's very funny. It's got a lot of action. It's got a lot of pieces that I think you will find interesting. We will listen to it. It's a 12-minute long audio clip. The link to that is right here. And then the questions that you'll answer along the way. Again, very much like what we did with the Knight's Tale. Not as many of them. Question 1 through 4 come straight from the text. Number 5, what is the irony of the story? This is nothing new. Remember, irony is where we expect to see something, but we get something else. And that something else helps explain the theme and the story. Right? It's an intentional twisting of the words or the situations. We talk about situational irony, where we expect something to happen because this is the scene that we're in, but we get something else. It could be dramatic irony, and where we know some information that the characters do not, and because the characters do not, they make very bad choice. Or verbal irony, and this is where the character says one thing but really means something else. Okay. So you have those kinds of things to work with. Now, verbal irony, we did talk about before. It's very close to sarcasm. It's very close to connotation and what we've talked about with satire. So there's a lot of overlap in all these pieces. And then number 6, what's the theme of the story? What's the lesson to be learned? As you are going through this, please, if you have any questions, make sure you're reaching out to Miss McGuire so that we can answer those questions for you. We do want to make sure that you have all the tools to be successful. And good luck, everybody.